It really is breathtaking to me that Donald Trump has squandered power the way he has. Donald Trump is experienced the real life version of House of Cards, and he doesn't know it yet. And I say that because I'm now an old guy who has seen a lot in politics over the decades. This thing with Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, is so ridiculous. So he comes out now and says, well, I didn't ask Ghislaine Maxwell about all these things that came out in these emails because the estate, the Jeffrey Epstein estate, hid it from me. BS. The estate came out and said, we have complied with every request and demand that we've received. The fact is both can be true, that Todd Blanche didn't get these documents, and the reason he didn't get it is they didn't properly ask for them. I mean, the estate has handed all this stuff over, and if they handed it over to Congress that is less friendly to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump, why wouldn't they have handed it over to Donald Trump if he'd asked for it? Todd Blanche, I think, never asked the right questions of the estate to get these documents. They supplied what he asked for, but they didn't volunteer anything more. And had he given the whole interview with Ghislaine Maxwell to one of the prosecutors who knew the case well, maybe it would have been different. But it's very clear to me, and let's just say it and put it out there, that this was a setup, that the interview Todd Blanche had with Ghislaine Maxwell was clearly so that Ghislaine would say something nice about Donald Trump, there would be some sound bites to that effect, and in return, she'd get special treatment at a minimum security prison camp. And that's exactly what happened. And the fact that, Ghislaine Maxwell knew that Donald Trump was at Jeffrey Epstein's house numerous times with a victim. And what came out during this interview is so ridiculous. And it's so transparent. We should just say it. That interview was a setup. So, look, these files are not going to be released because the House is going to pass the resolution, and maybe the Senate will pass the resolution. Trump's not going to sign it. He's going to veto it. So, you could say on the one hand, it's going to ultimately fail. But here's the difference. Donald Trump would then be clearly hiding something. Donald Trump would clearly be scared, right? If he vetoes this after Congress says, put it out there. And it's clear there is something he doesn't want the American people to know, right? I mean, what else could it be? There's something he doesn't want the American people to know. And that will be etched in stone in Donald Trump's legacy. I will remind you, if you don't remember or if you never heard it, Richard Nixon did some really interesting and important things. He opened China, which had never been opened to the United States before. He wound down the Vietnam War. But what's he remembered for? Watergate. Because Watergate was the scandal. Epstein is Donald Trump's scandal. And the more he does what he's doing, the more this will be his legacy, despite anything else, the Middle East piece, anything else. If he doesn't sign it, that's going to be his legacy. So, the last thing I just want to say is that it really is breathtaking to me that Donald Trump has squandered power the way he has. When you look at what he had going into this term, I mean, he had a grip on the Republican Party. He had a grip on a huge swath of America, not just his base, but law firms, universities, broadcast networks. And through intimidation, threats, Donald Trump pretty much got his way. And it didn't matter whether it was transparently right or wrong. He could get his way. And at a point when somebody feels that day after day and succeeds at that, they lose touch. And then he starts messing with the American people, telling them, don't tell me about affordability. Prices are going down. And people are saying, who am I going to believe, me or your lion, you or my lion eyes? Because my prices aren't going down. And so all of a sudden they start to doubt him. And when you take things like that, where he is clearly out of touch, the way Joe Biden was out of touch, and put on top of that Jeffrey Epstein and the somersaults he's doing and the contortions he's doing to keep the Justice Department files secret, that becomes a house of cards.
A failure.